Matt Bernier, Mike Beer taking a look back at the Grade 2 Tampa Bay Derby down in Oldsmar, Florida, Saturday afternoon. 50 Derby points were awarded to the winner. Coming into this race, Tapwrit was the horse to beat because unfortunately McCracken, the winner of the Sam F. Davis, he had a little bit of filling in the ankle. He missed the race. Tapwrit inherits this thing as far as favoritism is concerned, and he delivers as they break from the gate. It's an interesting sort of early race scenario because Tapwrit doesn't have the cleanest of goes going into the first turn. He gets jockeyed around a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a stumble for him at the start, and then he sort of winds up, back off the pace in between horses. You're right, a little bit of a rough run through that first turn. You can see him sort of towards the back there, steadying a little bit. He's the 5. After that, Johnny V, or Jose Ortiz actually, will get him to the outside in the clear, settled into a nice beat up the backstretch. And he just sort of when he decides to finally make his run on the far turn, he runs right by these horses, Matt.
State of Honor is on the front with Julien Leparoux up. This is a horse that ran very well setting the pace in the Sam F. Davis. He does very well in this spot as well out there on the front end. You have Sonic Mule overmatched. No Dozing was a complete disaster in the Sam F. Davis. Right now he looks like he's in good position, but he flattens out pretty badly too.
Yeah, he shows a little bit more interest early in this race. He's keeping up after the pace. So you can see State of Honor. He's just sort of moving right along on the front end. They can't really get near him to challenge, and he keeps this clear lead from here all the way around about to the quarter pole. Once he gets to the quarter pole, you can see Tapwrit's got a pretty big full head of steam going right now. Here comes Ortiz for him. He runs right by this horse, and nobody comes from behind in here to pick up this horse for second. But look at Tapwrit power right by this horse at the quarter pole.
Another horse to keep an eye on in the blue cap and the dark silks is Wild Shot. Robbie Alvarado sees Tapwrit making that move, says, I'm going to follow him right through. The problem is I don't think Wild Shot wants any part of this distance, and at this point, this race is over because Tapwrit's going to be able to see it out.
Yeah, he just keeps going here. You can see Ortiz is sort of keeping busy, but he's only doing what he has to do here. The horse is. He's finishing this thing off. He's way the best in here. Nobody can get State of Honor for second. You're right, Wild Shot. I guess he ran fine in this race. In the Sam Davis, they kept him closer to the pace on the outside. He took an early run at it, and he got a little tired in the stretch. This time, they tried a totally different thing. They took him all the way back off the pace. They came wide and tried to follow the winner through the second turn. No match for him, and he doesn't finish again. I don't think he wants to go this far.
Tapwrit is a horse that they clearly thought highly of. They paid $1.2 million for him, and you see the connections. Pletcher Ortiz, owned by Bridlewood Eclipse, La Penta, and you see the pedigree there. There's pedigree-wise, there's a lot to like about this horse. He's still very lightly raced. 3 for 5 lifetime, over $300,000 in earnings. Again, Ortiz with 2 really good rides on this horse in each of the past 2 starts. There's always that sort of trepidation, though, now going forward. Are we following a path similar to Destin last year where the horse was highly thought of, had pedigree, won both of the Tampa races, and then sat out for the next 8 weeks? Or are we going to get another race out of him? And I understand, depending on how you want to look at it from figures, the reason Destin sat out is because the connections feared the bounce. They feared that big, regression. With a horse like this, it seems like he just continues to slowly get better and better. You got a 96 buyer here. I know you and I are in agreement. I'd love to see him run again.
Yeah, it sounds like they're keeping that option open for him. We'll see what they decide to ultimately do. They're talking about one more race for him, and I hope that they do it. That, 9 times out of 10, that bounce thing is a totally made up thing. These guys just make it up. But horses, I think they do bounce every once in a while, but most of the time that's just what they use as the excuse not to run. This horse needs to run. The problem that I had with him, I liked this race. I thought he ran well in here. He didn't beat a good field of horses. It's 96 buyer speed figure. It's another small step in the right direction for this horse. He's improving start to start. I guess we're at the point now is how much more improvement does he have in him, Matt? Because he's going to have to keep going forward probably one more time and then the Derby again if he's going to win a race like that. There's something there with him. I just don't know how much more improvement he has in him.
The other thing that he and the connections may have going for them, I don't think the quality of the 3-year-olds has ever been in question. I think it's just been more a matter of they all keep falling by the wayside, whether it's Mastery getting hurt, whether it's McCracken and Classic Empire stubbing their toes, or an Irish War Cry completely bombing, El Arib gone. All of a sudden, at what point do you look at Tapwrit and say, you know what, I have no choice but to consider him a major contender, whether you want to believe that or not?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It seems like every week you're getting these horses that can just keep showing up and running races. They keep moving up the line. I like the way this horse is headed, and I liked this performance from him. I hope that they run him one more time.
State of Honor, the runner-up, he ran another good race. The problem is he's never going to be able to get to a horse like Tapwrit, and if that's the case, he's unlikely to get to any of the other big horses.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like a real contender as far as the Triple Crown goes. He's a pretty nice horse, though, and he ran fine. And I don't know what to say about the rest of these horses that were behind him. I would be willing to give the Hennig horse Beasley another chance. So we're maybe not on the Triple Crown Trail, although they could do that. He didn't have an easy trip in this race, sort of 4 wide the entire way. He was trying through the stretch. Maybe just not up for this right now, but there's something there with him. I think he's a pretty nice horse, but the rest of this field, I mean, do you want any of these horses on the Derby Trail? I don't.
Not as far as the Derby is concerned, but you and I both talked about it a little bit. Wild Shot turned him back. I think
would like
distance. Probably not his friend, maybe a 7/8 one-turn horse. Same goes for Sonic Mule. I don't love Sonic Mule, but I don't think he wants any part of this distance.
Right, I don't want to hold this race against him. I'm not sure how good he is. I don't want to hold this race against him. Wouldn't mind them getting State of Honor off the Derby Trail too, and try to make him a 7 or 8 furlong horse, because his last 2 races are actually both pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to go this far, and he's no match for the real good horses.
Giant price tag for Tapwrit, and guess what? It's starting to pay off. He gets another victory, another great stakes win down at Tampa Bay Downs, a 96 buyer, a 117 time form U.S. rating. He's slowly but surely putting things together, and all of a sudden, Todd Pletcher's 3-year-olds at the beginning of the year, they seemed a little disjointed. They're all coming together as we get closer and closer to the first Saturday in May.